This case is shocking.
Yet Stephanie Lazarus now faces murder charges.
In 1986, an ordinary day in Los Angeles turned into a nightmare. Sherri Rasmussen, a young and lively nurse, was found murdered in her own home.
And that the circumstances of the case were so salacious, so sensational.
Investigation revealed a shocking truth. The person entrusted to solve the crime, LAPD Detective Stephanie Lazarus, turned out to be the killer herself. This was not a random act of violence. It was a betrayal that shattered the trust in the beige meant to protect us. The story begins in the early 1980s at California State University, Fullerton, where Stephanie Lazarus and John Ruetten met. They were both athletes and spent time together on the track and field team. Stephanie might have thought they had a romantic connection, but John saw their relationship as just friends. This misunderstanding would become tragically important in the years to come. After graduating, John Ruetten got a job in his field, while Stephanie Lazarus decided to become a police officer for the Los Angeles Police Department. Even though Ruetten had made it clear he wasn't interested in a romantic relationship with her, he eventually met Sherri Rasmussen, a kind and caring nurse, and they fell deeply in love. When Lazarus heard about their engagement, she was very upset. She even talked to the Ruetten's mother, showing signs of possessiveness. Later, her personal journals were found, revealing her strong feelings for the Ruetten and her anger towards Sherri. In 1985, John Ruetten and Sherri Rasmussen got married, officially solidifying their love. However, Stephanie Lazarus' presence continued to loom over them. Sherri became increasingly uncomfortable with Lazarus' unannounced visits and continued attachment to Ruetten. She shared her concerns with her family, describing it as harassment. Fearing for their daughter's safety, her father reported Lazarus' behavior to the police, but without concrete evidence, no action was taken. February 24, 1986, marked a dark turning point in this chilly story. That morning, John Ruetten left for work as usual, while Sherri Rasmussen, feeling unwell, decided to stay home and call in sick. Later that day, a neighbor noticed the garage door open and Ruetten's car missing, which seemed unusual. When Ruetten returned home, he found Sherri dead on the living room floor. The scene suggested a violent struggle, with signs of forced entry and gunshot wounds. The initial investigation, led by Detective Sergeant Frank Salerno, focused on the possibility of a robbery gone wrong. However, several details didn't fit the typical robbery pattern. The expensive jewelry box was untouched, the struggle marks seemed staged, and Ruetten's car was mysteriously missing. These inconsistencies, along with Sherri's family's concerns about Stephanie Lazarus, prompted detectives to take a closer look at Lazarus' past interactions with the couple. Despite the family's suspicions, Stephanie Lazarus was not initially considered a prime suspect. The lack of a clear connection and the focus on the burglary angle led detectives to pursue other leads. The years that followed were painful for the Sherri's loved ones, filled with unanswered questions and a thirst for justice. Meanwhile, Lazarus' career in the LAPD flourished. Driven by ambition and a desire to prove herself, she rose through the ranks and eventually became a detective. In 2009, a glimmer of hope emerged for Sherri's family with the advancement in DNA technology. Detectives Randy Nuttall and Doreen Barba, assigned to re-examine cold cases, decided to take another look at the Rasmussen case. They noticed that there was no sign of anyone breaking it. The fight seemed plain, and the missing car further solidified their belief that this was a targeted murder, not a random robbery. The untouched valuables also bolstered this theory. A thorough review of the case file led Nuttall and Barba to a name they hadn't expected: Stephanie Lazarus. Although initially dismissed by the original investigators, Lazarus' past relationship with the Ruetten and her documented obsession with him made her a person of interest. With renewed focus, the detectives meticulously investigated Lazarus' movements on the day of the murder and any potential connection to the crime scene. As they carefully ruled out other possibilities, Lazarus became the prime suspect. The crucial missing piece was physical evidence linking Lazarus to the crime scene. However, A crime scene decades old can be a challenge for forensic teams. Luckily, Detective Nuttall had an idea. He remembered seeing Lazarus throw away a disposable coffee cup at a local Costco while they were watching it. The small thing might actually be really important for finding out what really happened. Following the rules of the department, Nuttall got permission to take the thrown-away cup from the overflowing trash can. He made sure to bag and label it properly. Then, they sent it to the LAPD's forensic lab to check for DNA. Everyone, including the detectives and Sherri's family, waited anxiously for weeks. Finally, the results came in. The DNA from the cup matched the bite mark they found on Sherri's arm during the first autopsy. Armed with this crucial evidence, detectives confronted Lazarus in 2009. Initially, Lazarus denied any involvement in Sherri's murder, claiming she barely knew the couple and couldn't explain the DNA match. But the detectives didn't believe her practice story. They showed her the evidence, including the bite mark and the DNA match from the thrown-away cup. Faced with undeniable proof, Lazarus' carefully made-up story started to fall apart. The following years were full of legal proceedings. Stephanie Lazarus, once a respected LAPD detective, was formally charged with first-degree murder in 2010. The trial, which began in 2012, captured the city's attention. The prosecution presented their case, highlighting Lazarus' past relationship with Rutan, her documented obsession, and most importantly, the incriminating DNA evidence. The defense countered by arguing that the DNA evidence was mishandled and the bite mark could have been from another encounter. After 3 days of thinking, the jury decided on a verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. The courtroom filled with a mix of shock, gasps, and tears. Sherri's family, who had carried the weight of sadness and doubt for years, finally got some justice. Stephanie Lazarus was given a sentence of 27 years to life in prison. It was a big change to the life she once led as a symbol of law and order. The Stephanie Lazarus case exposed vulnerabilities within the LAPD's investigative process. The initial dismissal of Lazarus as a suspect due to her profession raised concerns about bias and the importance of thorough investigations regardless of a person's background. Furthermore, the case highlighted the potential dangers of unchecked power and the devastating consequences of obsession. The story of Stephanie Lazarus is a dark chapter in Los Angeles' history, yet it's also a powerful reminder that justice, though sometimes slow, can ultimately triumph. It motivates us to remain vigilant and work towards a future where law enforcement serves and protects the community with unwavering integrity. How can we ensure that law enforcement agencies maintain public trust? What safeguards can be implemented to prevent similar situations? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you can never miss our video.